Okay, everybody, it's Lindsay from the Checkered Pony. I had a live stream earlier of my monthly subscription for Darn Good Yarn, and I was super excited because I got some Bear yarn that they sent with some food dye. I'm assuming it's a food dye, food color. And so inside we've got our little information. But we've got some Bear yarn, and so I have been completely obsessed with how people dye yarn. I've watched so many YouTube videos to try to learn how to do it, and I just admire it so much, and I'm obsessed with color and fiber, and I've not tried it myself because I'm so afraid of not doing it right or not doing it well, but I think I've caught on that it's kind of a trial and error kind of thing, and you just never really know how it's going to turn out, which is super exciting, and that's totally something that I would love. I love a surprise. So however this turns out, I think it's going to be a surprise. But in our subscription, we had our Bear yarn, which is silk. I think it's 100% recycled silk. Let me double check. Lace weight silk yarn, white and dyeable. The super soft single ply silk is dreamy to work with. Hand spun, not dyed, by women in India, and it's 50 grams or 300 yards. But I believe that it is 100% silk, and it's teeny tiny. But my plan is to dye this, or attempt to dye it, and then I will most likely knit it with another strand of, it could be merino or cotton, because this is seriously really tiny. It's very fine. It's pretty soft. There's a couple spots where it's a little bit, the texture gets a little bit more coarse almost, but it's still like silky soft. But we are going to get into this together. I forgot my scissors. Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to pause for just a second and prep my yarn and just kind of get situated here. I've got my pan. I have done some research on dyeing silk, and we are going to be baking this fiber in the oven to control the temperature a little bit better, rather than processing it on the stove, where I can't really tell exactly how hot it's getting. I have a little bit more control in the oven. So we're going to be baking it in this little pan. I will be adding some vinegar and water to the solution, because in dyeing yarn, again, my research tells me that we need an acid, which is the vinegar, we need the fiber, which is our silk, and we need heat, which will be coming from our oven. And so I will be mixing together my water, my vinegar, and my fiber to soak. We have to pre-soak the silk until it is completely saturated, and then we'll add the color. So first things first, I'm going to prep my silk. I'll be right back. All right, so again, I must be super duper excited because I unwound my hank, and then I was like, oh, I'll just go ahead and snip off the little the ties that are woven into here to hold this into the hank. And I was like, no, oh shoot, I don't want to do that. So I took off my Darn Good Yarn tag, and I only snipped off one of the ties. I still have one tie intact, and then part of one that is kind of sadly wrapped back around my yarn to just kind of hold it in place. Now, all I'm gonna do, and I'm moving to where I can no longer see my camera, so I hope this all comes out where you can see it. Okay, I'm just going to figure out how I'm going to lay this in my pan, because y'all, I have never colored a thing. Never done any dyeing in my life. This is so scary and so exciting. Okay, so I'm gonna say I want this little piece in the middle up here. Okay, now I'm just going to kind of spread these fibers out, because I do know that I don't want to have, I can loosen that up a little bit, too much, like too many clumps. Sorry, back again. I have 4 kids, don't forget, so I'm constantly having to juggle my crafts and my kids. Okay, I'm spreading this out so that once we add, I'm not going to touch this too much, I don't think, after I have let it soak and once I add the color. So I really want to try to get it spread out as much as possible so I don't have any parts that don't get touched by the color. I want to get quite a bit of saturation if I can help it, because this is not a bleached hank. This is still the natural color of the fiber. So it will, I don't think it's gonna take on like a super deep color, but I could be wrong, y'all. Oh my goodness, this one little piece, I might actually just take this out because it's I started to take it out and then I stopped myself, but I might just take it out. Oh, it's tied, I forgot. I'm just spreading this out. Okay, now all I'm gonna do is add some tap water, and I'm just going to pour it over top, and I add enough water to cover the yarn just so it gets saturated completely through. And this is going to take a while. I heard that even letting it soak overnight, just to make sure that every fiber has gotten wet. And I'm telling you right now, it almost feels like it's going to take a while to soak all this stuff up. I mean, the fact that it's so buoyant tells me that there's still a lot of air in the strands, and so the water is not reaching into the strands quite yet. Okay, so I'm gonna now have to add my vinegar. Okay, I'm actually going to hold this up for just a second. I don't know about pouring vinegar directly on my fiber. So I'm gonna add 1, 2. I'm gonna fold this back down. Oh, doesn't that smell delightful? Okay, and 1 more. Let's do 3. So 3 tablespoons of vinegar, and we're just gonna go back to soaking. And I'm just trying to help this along a little bit. I'm gonna let this soak for quite a while, and then I'll come back to it and check on it periodically and show you how it's going. Okay, guys? Step 1 is underway. Yay, yes! All right, see you in a little bit. Okay, guys, just checking in. It's only been about 10 minutes, but I'm starting to see, I mean, it's just a few. Some of these spots that are still above the water, they're still completely dry. I think this is going to take a while. A couple of spots where it's darker, you can see where it's starting to become saturated. But this is definitely taking a while, and I'm using my tongs because I don't want my hands to smell like vinegar for the rest of the night. When I'm eating ice cream after dinner, I don't want to reach up to, you know, scratch my nose and then taste vinegar with every other bite of ice cream that I have. So let's just try to dip this down. And I'm pressing just a little bit, not a lot. I don't want to, you know, tear these fibers up. But just kind of gently coercing all of that air out of the yarn so that the water can take its place, and just get completely saturate it. But yeah, I'm gonna let this continue to soak, and I'll check back a little bit later. Okay. Okay, guys, it has now been a little over an hour since the last time I really, since I showed you guys. I've been pushing it down every so often, every couple of minutes, and now it's gotten to where I can separate the fibers in the water, and I no longer see like the bright white dry spots. Now it just looks like a plate of cooked spaghetti. And everything looks pretty well saturated. Even in the corners, nothing is really sticking up anymore. Yeah, I think this is pretty much good to go. Now what I think I'm gonna do is, I don't know that I'm really gonna take out any of this water. I don't feel like there's an excessive amount. It's still covering the yarn, but I think it's a comfortable level for me. I think if it was fuller, if the water was a higher level, like up to the brim, I would take some of it out. But I'm gonna leave it just like this. I think it's really fine. So now, oh boy, we have our two colors. We have orange, make sure I'm in the frame. We have what I think is an orange or a yellow. I'm fairly certain it's an orange, but I have a feeling there might be some yellow colors that come out of it. That's a guess. This is just my guess. This, I'm guessing, is a pink or a red, which makes me very nervous. I don't want to get color everywhere, so I'm going to do my best to be completely hands off of this. I don't have any gloves. I have my tongs. I really think that this is food coloring, so I'm fairly certain that this is safe to use in my cooking dishes. It is a food grade coloring. It should be fine. But I've got my oven set to warm, so that's all ready to go. So now I just have to decide how I'm going to drop these colors in. I will give a little shout out to my inspiration, Rebecca from ChemKnits. She did a little dyeing video several years ago on dyeing silk, and what she did is just drop the color along the edges, along the sides, and then let it kind of seep in. And I think that's what I'm gonna do. All right, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I'm gonna put my orange. Oh my goodness, you guys! I'm gonna put my orange at this side, and I'm just gonna drop in a few drops along the edge. Oh my goodness, this is thick. This is kind of like the gel. I mean, maybe not like a super gel, but it's definitely a very thick liquid. And I'll give that a little swish in just a minute. I mean, these make like really long drops. I might just be putting dots on my yarn. All right, so let's see how this swishes. It's not very dark. Oh my word, it's definitely making dots on my yarn. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of mix that up a little bit. Let's mix this side. Ooh, that's pretty. Ooh, I was so excited I kind of spit a little bit. Okay, here we go. Okay, so now I think, look at that pink! Oh my word! Oh, if it would just stay that color. All right, but see, I'm a little concerned because I've got a couple little dots on my yarn. And I just kind of want to see if I can work that out a little bit. Now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to pick this up just a smidge because I really want to make sure that the color is getting under my yarn. I want full color penetration. And I think I only put 5 drops of the pink down here, I believe. I may have done a few more of the orange at the top. But we're gonna let that soak. I really want all of this color though to make it all the way through the yarn. I don't really want to mix them if I can help it. I mean, they'll mix in the middle where they meet, but like I want this to definitely get color in the middle too. Okay, now I'm gonna let it sit. I'm not We're gonna touch it, and we're gonna see. Oh my goodness, this is. I am absolutely giddy. This is just too much fun. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're just gonna let it sit. I don't know for how long, until, well, okay, until the water is clear. Once all of that dye has been absorbed into the yarn, then I will transfer it over to the oven, okay? So we're gonna let it sit. Ooh, this looks very yellow on my iPad screen, but it looks a lot more orangey on this side. You know, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna leave it. It's my first time, y'all. Let's see how it goes, all right? Be back in a little bit. Okay, see? So my newness is showing. I need to put this in the oven, okay? Now, I'm a little concerned. Hold on. I'm just the tiniest bit concerned about my orange side. I'm gonna add just a few extra drops. This orange, I feel like, is just not as bright as the pink. And I really want some deep, some dark, richer colors. So I'm just going to add a teensy bit more color on the end there, and really hope that that sets in. I'm also See, I might be turning into the kind of cook that adds too much seasoning to her meal, and then all of a sudden you can't taste anything. But you know what? I'm doing this, and I'm going all out, baby. I'm even gonna add a few more drops of pink down here, because this is just so beautiful. And if this just soaks into this one end, I don't really care. It'll just have even more of a pinky red part. And that's okay with me. All right, so there's the pink, red. Oh my word, that is so pretty. All right, and we've got our orange. I'm gonna make sure that's all tucked in. Now I'm going to stick this in the oven. And again, my oven is just set to warm, okay? It's not even set to a temperature. It just has a warm setting. And I will actually, I'll show you that in just a second. Okay guys, so you can see I have my oven set to warm. Please forgive, my oven is so old, y'all. Don't judge me for my oven. Okay, so I just have it set to warm. I'm hoping that that means it's gonna be, yeah, I don't want to turn it off. I just want it at the, I know it's ready. I want it at the lowest possible setting, because I think I think it was like 100 and some odd degrees, and something happens to the silk fibers and they're not as nice for somehow or something. So I don't want to get it too hot. I just want it warm enough that it'll help everything soak in. So hold on, I'll be right back.